Hello there, everyone. My name is CM Freeze, and the NFL draft has officially started, and the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. The Philadelphia Eagles yesterday officially beat the Chiefs in one of the most boring Super Bowls I have ever watched, and now it is draft season. Obviously, free agency still has to happen. We still have to see who people re-sign and who people sign in free agency, but all of the head coaches have been filled out. We now know the official draft order. This is the first mock draft with the true draft order, barring trades. I will not do trades currently. I will make a mock draft with trades in the near future, but for now, I'm doing no trades, just a raw mock draft. And let's jump right into things here and give the Tennessee Titans Cam Ward. I have been giving to the Tennessee Titans Cam Ward in every single mock draft I've done. Honestly, at this pick, the only two players I could see this being is Cam Ward and Abdul Carter. I do not see a world where this is anyone else. I think Cam Ward is clearly QB1. Shedeur Sanders is QB2, but I just think Cam Ward is QB1. I just like what Cam Ward has to offer more than Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders also maybe more of an off-the-field concern than Cam Ward is. I don't know how much that's going to play into it, but I just don't want the possibility of any drama, especially around my franchise QB. The Tennessee Titans' new GM, it was the assistant GM from the Kansas City Chiefs. What's made the Chiefs so special? Patrick Mahomes. You look at the AFC, there's Patrick Mahomes, there's Joe Burrow, there's Josh Allen, there's Lamar Jackson. All these really dominant quarterbacks consistently dominate the AFC, ironically. And the Tennessee Titans, they need to get their quarterback of the future. Now, why did I pick Cam Ward? Because, say, for example, you draft Abdul Carter at 1. The Tennessee Titans aren't guaranteed to be in a position to draft a quarterback next year or get a quarterback next year. They have the number 1 pick. You have an opportunity to go out and get your quarterback of the future. Go get Cam Ward. Don't wait another year. A quarterback is in your palms right now. You can get whoever you want. Cam Ward's number 1 quarterback. Draft him. Don't think anything about it. If you suck next year and have a high pick, great. You get to draft one of the best non-quarterbacks in next year's class. You have the option to get quarterback. Take it. The Cleveland Browns at 2, Abdul Carter. I think this is pretty easy as well. Myles Garrett wants out. You now have a big need at edge rusher. Maybe you keep Myles Garrett and you incentivize Myles Garrett to stay there by pairing Abdul Carter with him. Who knows? Regardless, Abdul Carter is going to be needed there in Cleveland. Abdul Carter is a top 5 player in this draft class, hands down. I think if you look at the best players in this draft class, it's Abdul Carter, it's Mason Graham, it's Travis Hunter, it's Ashton Genty. Then maybe that 5th spot is a little bit shaky. You know, maybe it's Cam Ward, maybe it's Tedero McMillan, maybe it's Will Campbell. But I think the top 4 players are pretty clear in Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, and Ashton Genty in just terms of overall prospect level, I guess you'll say. The Browns have Cam Ward's not here. If Cam Ward was here, I'd probably give the Browns Cam Ward, but he's not. Abdul Carter, absolute freak from Penn State, hands down the best pass rusher in this class. Go and get yourself a premium player at a premium position. New York Giants at 3, I'm going to go Shedeur Sanders. The Giants desperately need a quarterback. I don't think they get rid of Daniel Jones with no plan in place. That's pretty bad if your mindset is, okay, we're going to get rid of Daniel Jones and then just not replace him. You know what? Maybe there's a free agent quarterback out there, but I highly doubt it. The New York Giants, they're linked to Shedeur Sanders. Brian Daboll is on the last year of his contract, so you know what? Maybe you draft Shedeur Sanders. If you don't do good, you bring in Deion Sanders next year. You know, there's some possibility to that. I like Shedeur Sanders. My issue with him is I don't really know where his ceiling is. I think he'll be good, but he's one of those high floor, low ceiling kind of players where how much can Shedeur Sanders really develop, especially there in New York, but he at least has Malik Neighbors there. We'll see what happens with Shedeur. But the Giants desperately need quarterback. I mean, maybe the Giants go Travis Hunter here. You know, I think that's a possibility. But I think this is either Shedeur or Travis Hunter. I mean, this could be Travis Hunter. This very easily could be Travis Hunter. But then who's going to start a quarterback for you next year, right? I mean, it's tough. Patriots at 4, I'm going Will Campbell. They hired Mike Vrabel to be their head coach. Mike Vrabel in Tennessee had a very dominant offensive line with a very dominant running game with Derrick Henry. You need to protect your quarterback in the future in Drake May. He showed flashes next year. You hope that you have something with him, but he was under pressure way too much. You need to help him out. Go get yourself the best offensive lineman prospect in the class at Will Campbell. I mean, maybe you go Tedero McMillan here. I highly doubt that this is defense. Again, why not Travis Hunter? I mean, you have Christian Gonzalez. Yes, it's really nice to pair two corners together, but you need to go and protect Drake May. Get yourself the best offensive lineman prospect in this class. Then the Jaguars at 5 are probably pretty thrilled that Travis Hunter has fallen to them. You know, a lot of people say that Travis Hunter is a corner and the Jaguars desperately need a corner. They haven't really had an elite lockdown corner since Jalen Ramsey. Travis Hunter, a really good corner. But who knows? Maybe Liam over there, the new head coach they have, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator, maybe he has some packages with Travis Hunter at wide receiver. Now, they already have Brian Thomas Jr. They still have Christian Kirk. I could see, though, Travis Hunter getting some reps at wide receiver there. But I believe that he'll probably be their starting corner, so who knows truly how many reps he will get at the wide receiver position, but I think Travis Hunter fits very well in Duval. Then we got the Raiders at 6. Tom Brady's running the show for the Raiders. Tom Brady is calling the moves. Pete Carroll, you know, he's had really good teams around him. I don't think the Raiders are going to roll into the season with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. I just don't see it. Now, there is no quarterback here going at 6. I can guarantee you that. In fact, I think that Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are the only two quarterbacks that go in the first round. The only possibility I could see is if a team trades with the Eagles at number 32 to maybe get Jalen Milroe. Maybe a team falls in love with Jackson Dart. I just don't see it. I truly do not see a quarterback going in the first round outside of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. There is hands down no quarterback going here at 6. I really think that the Raiders make a play for Sam Darnold. I really do. I would not be surprised if Sam Darnold is a Raider. There definitely will be another quarterback, or if not Sam Darnold, I think it's Russ. It makes sense, right? The Steelers informed Russ he's not coming back. Russell Wilson reuniting with Pete Carroll, with Tom Brady as, you know, calling the shots. I really think Russ is here. And what do you got to do if you get Russ or Sam Darnold? You got to get him Tedero McMillan. McMillan's the best wide receiver in this class. He is 6'5". He's not the fastest, but he has excellent hands. I really like to think of him as Mike Williams, you know, Mike Williams from the Chargers, who just makes excellent catches. Not that fast, not the quickest, good route runner. Obviously, he's taller than everybody else on the field. Amazing hands. And unlike Mike Williams, hopefully he doesn't get hurt every single season as well, you know, and he's young and he's taller than Mike Williams. Plus you got Brock Bowers there too, so now you got to worry about Tedero McMillan and Brock Bowers. I think Russ, or whoever the Raiders bring in at quarterback, is going to be very happy with the weapons that they're given there in Las Vegas. Then the Jets here at 7, they just hired the Lions defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn. Mason Graham, like I said, he is a top 4 player in the class. You can get a top 4 player in the class to fall to you at 7. You know, Quentin Williams, he's only 27 himself. So now you got Quentin Williams and Mason Graham on the defensive line you got to worry about. And there's also, I think it's Joe Johnson as well, or Jermaine Johnson, I think, as well, who had a breakout season for the Jets too. That Jets defensive line is going to be dominant. Mason Graham, Quentin Williams. That Jets defensive line is going to be ferocious. And you look at some of the best defenses in the league this year, the Rams and the Eagles. Why were they so good? They got pressure immediately. There was nothing you could do about it. We just saw the Eagles absolutely dominate because they have 2 defensive tackles and amazing edge rushers. The Jets defensive line is going to be scary, and I think they're ecstatic to get Mason Graham to plug in right next to Quentin Williams. Then the Carolina Panthers at 8 here. I'm going down the board a little bit, and I'm going to draft him Jalen Walker. I really like the fit of Jalen Walker to the Carolina Panthers. Now, Jalen Walker is not the best edge rusher in this class, but what Jalen Walker is really good at is he's someone that can both play on the ball and off the ball. He can blitz off the edge, and he can drop back into coverage. I think of it like Micah Parsons coming out of Penn State. Obviously, he is nowhere near Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a top 5 edge rusher in the class. I'm not saying that. I'm referring to him as Micah Parsons, as Micah Parsons could have done both. That's why Dallas drafted him. Micah Parsons could drop back. Micah Parsons can also blitz the edge rusher. When you look at the Carolina Panthers, they're a team that they need both. They need edge help. They need linebacker help. Why not give them both with Jalen Walker? I really like his fit with the Carolina Panthers, and I think he's going to fit in well and instantly be one of their best defensive players. Then at pick 9 here, with the New Orleans Saints, I read mock drafts too. I watch mock drafts. Of course I do. I try to get as much knowledge everywhere. There's Daniel Jeremiah, Mel Kiper, guys who, for the most part, are trusted or at least have better sources than I do. And with the Saints, everyone seems to give the Saints defensive line. I'm going differently. I'm giving the Saints Tyler Warren here at pick 9. The Saints need playmakers. The Saints do. The Saints do not have playmakers. They have Alvin Kamara and they have Chris Olave. The Saints, the first 2 weeks of the season, looked dominant. But after their playmakers went down, they sucked. Yes, Derek Carr went down too, but damn, they had nobody to throw the ball to. Absolutely nobody. This Saints team, like I said, they only have Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara. You need more playmakers on offense. Tyler Warren can be a great playmaker for him. Really good tight end out of Penn State. And Tyler Warren, really good at blocking as well. Tyler Warren can do both. When I look at the Saints, I think of how dominant they were with Jimmy Graham. Now, Jimmy Graham obviously didn't block that much. Jimmy Graham was more of a receiving tight end. But give yourself a dominant tight end. Look at the Raiders with Brock Bowers last year and how well that went for him. Go get yourself an excellent playmaker. Now, this could also be Luthen Bader as well if you're going for a playmaker. But who do the Saints have tight end? Foster Moreau. He's been in the league a couple of years now and has done nothing really. I think just go get yourself the best playmaker available and someone who can also help you on the offensive line as well, and Tyler Warren. And again, versatility. That's just why I gave Jalen Walker to the Panthers. Saints, you can get someone who can catch the ball and block for you. Then the Chicago Bears at pick 10. This is hands down going to be offensive line. You know what? Maybe there's a shot this is Genty, but they did sign DeAndre Swift, and Swift wasn't terrible this year. I'm pretty sure Swift eclipsed 1,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Swift was not god-awful for the Bears. I think offensive line is a more pressing need for them, and I'm going to give them someone who's been shooting off the draft boards, an Armand Membo from Missouri. I have seen that he's been absolutely destroying draft boards. He has been rising. Now, he's listed as an offensive tackle, but he's probably going to play guard, and that's exactly what the Bears need. The Bears have some good tackles, young tackles. I know there is... I think Brisker. I'm trying to think of the tackle that they drafted of Tennessee 2 years ago. They need guard help. You need to protect Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was dying out there. You need offensive line help first and foremost. And Armand is someone who's going to be an excellent guard for the Chicago Bears. Very, very technically sound. And since he's moving into guard, he's not going to have to worry about being, quicker or twitchier off the edge. So I think Armand is going to be really good here for the Chicago Bears at 10. Then the 49ers at 11. The 49ers also desperately need offensive line, but something I want to point out is that Tre'Davious Ward makes it seem like he's not being re-signed. The 49ers already have some big contracts that they give out. Who knows how much money Brock Purdy is going to require, but they've already had to give out so much money to Nick Bosa and offensive line help with Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk. The 49ers probably can't re-sign Tre'Davious Ward, and he's been their lockdown number 1 corner. You need a replacement for him, and I really like Will Johnson. Will Johnson is corner 2 in this class behind Travis Hunter. Yes, he got hurt towards the end of the year, so, I know that has a little low in his draft stock right now because of it. But Will Johnson's been the best corner in the league for the last 2 years outside of Travis Hunter. Will Johnson has been absolutely dominant. You need to go replace Tre'Davious Ward because you probably can't re-sign him. The 49ers have had pride in having really good cornerback play. For the last couple of years, it's what's helped make their defense really good. Go get Will Johnson. You can get him for 5 years. He can hopefully be your corner 1 of the future. At least that's what you're drafting him to be, DB1 of the future for. Cowboys, Ashton Genty, what do I need to say? Cowboys need a running back. Ashton Genty's been an absolutely dominant prospect. I've seen a lot of people giving the Cowboys offensive line, but I just think you need Genty. You look at Dak Prescott and how good he was with Ezekiel Elliott. Go get Genty. Go get yourself a phenomenal running back that can do it all. Genty's an absolute beast, and we all know this. Now, the Miami Dolphins here at 13, they also desperately need offensive line as well. Tua constantly gets hurt. That offensive line is aging, and it just hasn't really worked out well. I know that they lost their really good guard in free agency last year, and it showed. So for me personally, I think this could either be Kelvin Banks Jr. or Tyler Booker. Tyler Booker, really good guard from Bama. Kelvin Banks Jr., though, I'm going to give him Kelvin Banks Jr. only because, like I said, versatility. Kelvin Banks, or earlier I said versatility. Kelvin Banks Jr., he plays tackle, but he's probably going to be projected and move inside to play guard, but he still can play tackle if you need to. So draft yourself a guy that can either go play tackle or guard for you out of Texas, where Tyler Booker is just going to straight up be a guard. He's locked into guard. Kelvin Banks Jr. could play tackle for you, so it just really depends on what the Miami Dolphins want. Then the Colts here at 14 is pretty tough for me. I am going to give them Malachi Starks. It's just, I don't really know where Malachi Starks is going to go. Like, it's so hard to kind of project where he's going to go because he is a safety, and safety is probably, like, when you think of a defense, I think that obviously your defensive line is the most important. Your edge rushers and your defensive tackles, it all starts there. If a team has all the time in the world to pass, you're screwed. It doesn't matter how good your secondary is if you give them all the time in the world to pass. And then if the other team can run the ball on you because your front seven sucks, then passing doesn't even matter to begin with. So I think that your defensive line is most important. You could probably say that safety is the least important. I don't really know. Like I said, defensive line stuff for the most important. So how much do teams value Malachi Starks? The Colts don't really have a good secondary. You know, their defense in general just needs to be revamped. So if you're the Colts, it just really depends on what you want to do. They still have DeForest Buckner. They still have Kwity Paye. So they have pieces on defensive line, but their secondary, there's not much there. So might as well just draft the best safety in the class, Malachi Starks. Very good ball hawk, had a very good year for Georgia last year. Their series still did pretty good as well, but I think people thought he was going to take a bigger step up than he actually did. But if you're the Colts, I think at pick 14, you kind of just go best player available. This, like I said, this could be an edge rusher. There's still a lot of quality edge rushers here, but I'm going to give him Malachi Starks. And then Falcons here at 15, the GOAT, Micah Williams from Georgia, going to Atlanta. Micah Williams could easily go earlier than this. Micah Williams had such a dominant 2023 season. He's just got unbelievable athleticism. He's big, he's long, he's fast off the edge. Just an absolute dominant force for Georgia. This year, he didn't play as good as he did last year, but a lot of reports were saying that's because he was hurt all year. He was bouncing off and on the injury report. He wasn't at full health. But regardless, Michael Williams still played really good. Kind of exactly like Malachi Starks with back-to-back Georgia players. Both these guys played so damn good in 2023 and were projected to take an even bigger step up. And then just they didn't in 2024, which is kind of the issue. Whereas Jalen Walker did take that big step up. Malachi Starks, Michael Williams, still really good players, just didn't really take the big step that they were projected to be, so they fall a little bit because of that. Then the Arizona Cardinals here at 16. Now, this is going to be defensive line. Hands down, this is going to be defensive line. The Arizona Cardinals defensive line sucks. But I'm going to give him defensive tackle. And I'm going to give him defensive tackle Derek Harmon. Obviously, Mason Graham's defensive tackle 1. Then I would say it's a toss-up between Derek Harmon and Walter Nolan for defensive tackle 2. So I could see this being Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan. I'm just going with Derek Harmon. It's what I've been giving the Cardinals. It's what I feel more comfortable with. Here's why I'm not giving the Cardinals an edge rusher. Because like I said, they need to upgrade a defensive line. 2 years ago, they drafted B.J. Ojulari in the second round. He showed flashes his rookie season, but then tore his ACL in the preseason in year 2. So this year, 2024, B.J. Ojulari didn't play. But then in the 2024 class, the Arizona Cardinals drafted Darius Robinson. So they have Darius Robinson going into year 2 and B.J. Ojulari going into year 3 at the edge position. If the Cardinals did want a third edge to rotate the 3 of them, I would much rather just sign one in free agency, sign a veteran edge rusher in free agency instead of having 3 young inexperienced edges rotating. So if the Cardinals do want to go edge, get one in free agency to help train your defensive line, to be a mentor for them, but draft Derek Harmon here at defensive tackle. The Cardinals are going to have a young defensive line. They can still see what they get out of B.J. Ojulari and Darius Robinson, and then get yourself some help at defensive tackle with Derek Harmon. The Bengals here at 17, Joe Burrow has made it public, hey, re-sign T. Higgins, re-sign Trey Hendrickson. Joe Burrow wants the Bengals to spend money and to sign guys. So I'm going to make this pick off the assumption that Henderson and T. Higgins comes back. And I'm going to draft Siobhan Reevil. He is my corner 3 in this class. I think it's very, very clearly Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, Siobhan Reevil. Reevil had an excellent 2023 and got hurt early in his 2024 campaign. Still looked great in like the 3 or 4 games he played, but then got hurt. It was a big injury. He had to miss the rest of the season, but he's made it clear, hey, I'm going to be good to go for training camp. I'm going to definitely be good to go for the start of the season. So that's not a concern there for the Bengals. He's my corner 3. The Bengals defense sucks. Their secondary is garbage. Now, if Hendrickson leaves, I would definitely give him James Pierce Jr. here. But if Hendrickson's there, you need to upgrade your secondary. Your secondary is really bad. Get yourself the best secondary piece still in this draft in Siobhan Reevil, who honestly could even go higher than this if it wasn't for that he's coming off a big injury. Then the Seahawks at 18, I am going to give him James Pierce Jr. I think they're thrilled that he has fallen to them. James Pierce Jr. before this year started was probably projected to be a top 10 pick. He's got traits that you can't teach. I believe he's 6'5", like 250. He's exactly like, he's got that Micah Williams build, where he's just an absolute freak off the line. Crazy first step, really fast. Stuff you can't teach. You want him to have more moves in his arsenal. You want him to have a better pass rush move, better bull move, better spin move. But regardless, James Pierce Jr. has stuff you can't teach. Absolute freak off the edge. He has size and athleticism you cannot teach in a player, and I think the Seahawks are going to fall in love with it. Buccaneers here at 19, I'm going to continue to give him Jaheed Campbell, the top linebacker in this class. I really like him out of Alabama, and the Buccaneers desperately need linebacker. Obviously, Devin White was really good for them for a while and just hasn't been since. Bucs still have Levante David, but he is getting older. And I think it'd be really nice for Jaheed Campbell to be able to train under Levante David and then eventually take over for him once he retires, because I believe he's in his 30s now, so he is getting older. And the Bucs desperately need linebacker depth behind him. Then the Denver Broncos here at 20. I'm going to give him Luther Bader because he has somehow fallen all the way to pick 20. Luther Bader could very easily go before this. It's kind of crazy that he's only the second wide receiver off the board, but Luther Bader has incredible speed. He is really fast. And for Bo Nix, who actually was pretty good with his deep ball this season, I know he had a couple of good deep passes, he's going to love to have another deep threat. Obviously, there's Cortland Sutton there. I know they drafted Troy Franklin as partner from Oregon last year, but you need more weapons for Bo Nix. And Luther Bader, he's so fast. I'm sure that Sean Payton will have fun scheming up plays just to get Luther Bader the ball and let his legs do the work. Then the Pittsburgh Steelers here at 21, they desperately need wide receiver as well. And I just think that Ikem Ekwonu feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler. He had a really good year in Ohio State. He had a really good year last year as well. He has excellent hands. He's great at high pointing the ball. Now, obviously not as fast as Luther Bader, and not as tall as Tedero McMillan. Ikem Ekwonu is someone that does a lot of things really well. Kind of a jack of all trades guy. Master of none. I forgot what the second part of that is. Master of none, something. But he's a really good jack of all trades guy. Quality wide receiver. He just feels like a Steeler. I don't know. He just feels like a Steeler. That's why I'm having him go instead of Matthew Golden here. Then Chargers at 22, Colston Loveston easily. I really like Colston Loveston, and obviously the Chargers, they need more weapons. Colston Loveston is just more of a pass-catching tight end. He's been great for Michigan. Obviously, Harbaugh wants to reunite with his boy, give Justin Herbert another target, which he desperately needs. If Colston Loveston isn't here, though, this is definitely going to be a target for Herbert. This could easily be Matthew Golden. Where did he go? Yeah, Matthew Golden. This could be Luther Bader if he's still here. Ikem Ekwonu. You could flip these picks around, but Chargers are definitely going to get a guy who can catch the ball for Herbert. Then Packers here at 23, I am going to give them Nick Skarontin. He's kind of fallen down the board a little bit. There are going to be draft classes where people who are further down on the board just go higher up. It happens every single time. People who were projected to go in the late first round, they always go earlier. And people who are projected to go in the early first round always fall. It always happens. No one is ever perfectly accurate with their mock draft. Nick Skarontin falls a little bit. I really like his production over there at Texas A&M. Packers need to continue to get better at the defensive line. They have been building a very solid defense in the first round. Their offense has been really solid, so I think just continue to bolster that defense. They could have also gone offensive line as well, like what I'm going to do with the Minnesota Vikings here, and I'm going to give them Tyler Booker. Really good guard from Bama. I know that the Vikings still have Christian Darrisaw at left tackle. Give them a buddy at left guard or right guard and Tyler Booker. The Vikings just got sacked 8 times. It was either 8 or 9 times in their playoff loss against the Rams. A lot of that was on Sam Darnold. However, his offensive line also wasn't doing him that much favors as well. Bolster that offensive line for either Sam Darnold if he comes back or J.J. McCarthy. Then the Texans at 25, I am going to give him Matthew Golden. Keep him in state. Keep him in Houston Texans. Tank Dell destroyed his leg and is not going to play in the 2025 season. Stephon Diggs is also a free agent, which means that the Houston Texans only currently have Nico Collins on roster. They could re-sign Stephon Diggs, but that's not a guaranteed. So I personally believe that the Texans are in need of a wide receiver. Matthew Golden's the best wide receiver on the board. I think he's pretty similar to Ikem Ekwonu. I think, again, in both being great at a lot of things, Matthew Golden's a little bit faster, a little bit twitchier. Ikem Ekwonu has better hands. You could go either way. Like I said, Matthew Golden could have been the guy who went here, but I just think the Ohio State guy going to Pittsburgh just makes more sense to me. Then the Los Angeles Rams here at 26. Their defense played out of their mind, so I really believe that this is going to be offense. I think that this probably is either going to be Cameron Williams, or I could also see this being Jonah, the offensive tackle from Arizona as well. I could go either or with either of these two players. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, this could go either or. I think just to switch things up a bit and to draft someone later down the board, we'll go with Jonah from Arizona. I'm not going to try to butcher his last name, but a really solid offensive tackle for Arizona. He definitely projects more as a tackle, but I'm sure that any tackle could slide into guard, but I believe that he'll probably be a tackle, left tackle, or right tackle for the Los Angeles Rams. Which then that allows for the Baltimore Ravens to draft an offensive tackle as well. Now, you think about Baltimore and it's cold. I still like Cameron Williams here. I really do. But this could also be Josh Simmons because they want to draft an offensive tackle who's used to playing in more colder weather. I don't know how much of a factor that also is, but I mean, Josh Simmons and Cameron Williams, both really good tackles. I will give the Ravens, though, Josh Simmons just based on the weather aspect of it. Ohio State, he's played in colder weather. No clue if that actually is a factor or not, but it is. And then the Detroit Lions here at 28, I'm giving them Mike Green. Mike Green has been someone that has been roaring up draft boards. Mike Green, who knows where he's actually going to go. However, through most of this actual season itself, though, Mike Green still was a late projected first round pick. I think people just kind of saw how many sacks he got and saw how he played at the Senior Bowl and said, oh my gosh, Mike Green's really great. And I think Mike Green could go as early as the Atlanta Falcons here at 15. The Falcons love drafting people out of the Senior Bowl. The Seahawks could go with Mike Green. I think any of these edge rusher spots, the Packers could have gone with Mike Green. Any of these edge rusher spots that I selected, it could have been. You could very easily substitute Mike Green with Nick Skarontin. It's really hard to tell which teams actually have players higher up on their draft board because there's a lot of people who are very similar in skill. So it's actually going to be very interesting to see who goes where. I think the positions that I pick are very accurate, but I mean, look at all these offensive linemen I just took. You could substitute these out. Who knows who's actually going to go there? Then the Washington Commanders here at 29. I am going to give them Benjamin Morris. Benjamin Morris suffered, just like Siobhan Reevil, a season-ending injury, but the Commanders' secondary is terrible. like really, really bad. And also, a lot of people are saying the Commanders are going to trade for Myles Garrett, so they might not even have this pick. This could be the Cleveland Browns. Who knows what's going to happen, but in this mock draft at this current moment of time, the Commanders need to get better at the secondary. I don't think that's going to be a safety. I think that's going to be a corner. This could be Trey Amos, but Benjamin Morris should be a first-round pick, but with his with his injury, who knows, but this is going to be secondary. And the Buffalo Bills here at 30, I'm going to give them the second best safety in the class, and Nick Amenawari out of South Carolina, who is projected to be a true safety. He's an absolute big hitter, just run hitter. I believe he's 6'2". He's got some weight to him. I think of him as a true heavy hitting, strong safety, and I think he's going to fit very well there in Buffalo. Then the Kansas City Chiefs here at pick 31. Cameron Williams has kind of fallen to them. We saw how bad their offensive line play was. Yes, they have. Joe Thuney was playing left tackle for him. I think they're going to want to put Thuney back into guard and keep Cameron Williams there at tackle. Chiefs' offensive line really got exposed. All year, they didn't really play against good defensive lines. And then when they finally had to with the Eagles, it really showed. If you look at their division, the Broncos had a good defense, and they almost lost to the Broncos, on a missed kick. The Chiefs won a lot of close games, and I just kind of think that was because teams were intimidated by the Chiefs, and then a defensive line completely dominated them in the Super Bowl, and it showed Chiefs need offensive line help bad. This could also be a wide receiver here, too. Just, I don't think there's any wide receivers here that are worth value. I think the Chiefs, maybe they could trade down and draft Xavier from Miami. It's really interesting to see how that's going to go. And then the Eagles at 32, honestly, they could trade out of this pick. This Eagles roster is so stacked, like so unbelievably stacked. Where do you go? Like, truly, what do you give the Eagles? They have so many pieces. Obviously, their secondary is really good now. I don't know if there's any linebackers worth taking here. If you were to go defense, their defensive line's really good. I honestly have no clue what to go here for the Eagles. Probably offensive line. I think I saw that they're going to lose a couple of their offensive linemen. This probably, honestly, like I said, could be a trade down spot if a team trades up because, maybe they do want a quarterback. Or Walter Nolan's a really good defensive tackle. Walter Nolan easily could go in the first round. I've kind of kept him out of this just because, like I said, people fall. So it just really, really depends on what you want to do. I'll give the Eagles Shamon Stewart. Why not? Shamon Stewart's more of a developmental edge rusher, but that Eagles defensive line was so good. Just add another piece that can sit and learn behind the guys that are already there and just continue to have the best defensive line in football. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for my mock draft. I felt really good about all of this except that Eagles pick there. I wish I was kind of more prepared for that. Commanders pick at 29 was a little bit interesting too. Like I said, this is just a mock draft, so this just a lot more still has to happen, but this is kind of, I feel really good about this mock draft, actually. I really do. There are some pieces that you question a little bit, but you're never going to be perfect. And I felt like I did a good job explaining of why everyone went where they did. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with this mock draft. Let me know if you think I made any really bad decisions or really good decisions. Thank you so much for watching, and peace out.